Ina mana, ina waka, ina reo. Ira rangatirama. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora everyone, my name's Kerry Topp from the Kerry Topp Collective. We're here today for the next instalment of the 4InSights sessions. These are sessions that unlock the foresight and insight of digital experts in New Zealand to help you accelerate your business and your digital aspirations. The format's simple. It's three insights in 10 minutes from one thought leader. So we've done a few of these. So who are we going to hear from today? Well, we're blessed to have Alan Hesketh, who's the director of Business Value Consulting. Alan, welcome. It's great to have you here again.
Thanks, Kerry. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. We've done a couple of these things in terms of you and I interacting, and so to do this again, we know the format's ripping straight into it. So why is achieving more with less your mantra, and why is it more pronounced within organisations with leaders now than pre-COVID?
Well, it's something we've always had to deal with in IT and digital organizations. I think we're dealing with a situation where you've got infinite demand and limited resource to actually satisfy the demand. And so it's something that we've always had, but has actually been compounded by COVID-19 to a fairly dramatic degree in really one of two ways. Organizations have really focused on spending less cash.
Mm.
So they've reduced the number of people they employ or the external services they use, and they've also then cut the budgets of the remaining people. So your discretionary spend is available to those organizations is lower. So achieving more with less is going to be critical for them. On the other side, you've had companies, and I think Countdown in New Zealand as a supermarket is a really good example. They had to adapt their business model dramatically to primarily physical shopping to be able to cope with a rapidly increasing demand in online shopping. And so
Mm.
they set some priorities around which customers that they actually wanted to service. But they were having to achieve a lot more. And not necessarily, they would not have been able to actually get more people in quickly. They would not have been able to increase their capabilities particularly quickly. So again, that whole achieving more with less um, happens or need is important on both sides or for those both different types of organizations.
And more pronounced now than ever. So, question two is as a business leader, how do you easily identify issues that are taking up time, impacting on your organizational productivity? And can you give us an example?
Yeah, the critical thing in lots of ways is trying to figure out what can I stop doing so I can actually deliver more with the resources I've actually got. And one of those key areas is just firefighting, is stopping those incidents that are impacting you every day from occurring and from impacting people in your organization so that that time is just not needed anymore. And so this matrix actually looks at, well, this model actually looks at the impact in the vertical axis and the frequency of incidents. So things that have a negative impact on the experience that your customers and employees are having every day. So the frequency is merely about how frequently does an incident actually happen per unit of time, per day, per week, per month, depending on how you actually want to measure it. And impact is purely about what's your customer and employee perspective of the impact on them, because it's their perception that's important. If you as an IT organization think it's high impact, it does not necessarily mean the customer or your employees actually view it as such.
Mm.
So that impact is actually assessed from that customer perspective. And so this
Mm.
matrix actually gives you a mechanism for understanding and comparing the relative importance of fixing the different incidents.
And I love the simplicity of the model that you've created there, and that double whammy of bringing employee and customer impact together. I think is the sweet
Yeah.
spot most organisations will be looking at. Which I kind of goes down to the question three is as a business leader, how do you know where to focus? And again, can you give us an example of that?
Yeah. So you're looking at the four quadrants within this model,
Yeah.
the things that kill you quickly. So I think COVID-19 for online stores actually created an example where they were seeing quite frequent incidents of high impact, high frequency. As the usage of online channels actually dramatically increased, the capacity available to serve those increases was not necessarily there when those online stores actually needed it to be. And so that became the absolute priority. And so that's the kind of incident that fits into this particular quadrant. Those things that you know are going to stop your customers from being able to work with you or buy from you, because your competitors are only ever a click away, or your employees and their ability to actually fulfill what your customers actually want. The second quadrant there is needs a plan, and that's around understanding that you're not going to be able to solve the root causes of all the incidents that you actually that are actually occurring in your business. You need to make some choices about which ones you can actually address. The idea here is you don't actually remove the root cause, you actually make a plan. And because it happens less frequently, restoring the service quickly is often the most cost-effective way and best way to actually improve the customer outcome. You may find that fixing these kinds of incidents are very expensive and very time-consuming. And that there's a real opportunity cost in that you don't have that time and resource and money available to do all the new things that you actually want to do. So the needs a plan is about having a good plan and a good workflow and practicing it. And so the critical thing around that practice, I'm a bit of an F1 tragic. I've been watching F1 for years and love the technology and the racing. And the key thing in there for me is you look at some of the pit stops that the modern crews are actually making. They are changing 4 tires, adjusting the wing, cleaning the car in under 2 seconds.
Incredible.
Which is just phenomenal. I think the fastest one that's been recorded, and this was Red Bull, did it in about 1.7 seconds. But what makes it possible is practice. Just regular, consistent practice. They take it to extremes, obviously, because of the importance of that time. But practicing improves your ability to deliver. And each time you do it, you need to learn what went right and what went wrong, so you can actually improve your performance, reduce the time to restore, and then reduce the impact that it's actually having on your customers and your employees. In your bottom right quadrant there are the opportunities, the things that happen frequently but have a low impact. I started an organization at one time where each person, and there were 7,000 or 8,000 people, their PCs were failing 3 to 4 times a day. So individually, the impact was only 5-10 minutes a day for them. But across the organization, the organizational impact was just huge. And until we actually sat down and did the maths on it, people didn't actually realize the scale of the impact. And it was the easiest multi-million-dollar business case I've ever written. It took, in fact, I didn't actually write one. I sat down with the CEO and showed her the plan and the costs and the resources we actually needed to fix it. And she said, yes, go do it. And we did, and we delivered it. But it's understanding the data, understanding that these are high frequency. They're not low, they're not high impact. People aren't necessarily going to complain about it. In fact, often they'll just restart their PC and not even call the service desk. So you won't have any data about it. But those are things often where the biggest opportunity improving customer satisfaction and employee engagement are actually to be achieved. In the final quadrant, why bother? Low frequency, low impact, fix them when they happen, but otherwise don't spend any time worrying about them because they're not going to have a great impact on your outcomes. So customers, employees, understanding their perceptions, understanding what's important to them and what the impact is to them. That's the way to get to reduce the amount of firefighting that you're doing and freeing the resource then to get to that new work, those new advances, those new customer demands.
Awesome. All right. Hey, look, in terms of, thank you very much. In terms of summarizing, look, that kills quickly quadrant really needs an immediate response. And actually, you need to be looking at the customer employee double whammy opportunity that can either drastically improve or take away that pain. The second piece is the needs a plan. Quadrant really is, these are things that don't often happen enough, but the frequency of those actually takes resource to fix. And actually getting something going and actually practicing and working that to get that response plan going is key. The other thing is bottom right quadrant was the opportunities. It's often difficult to actually find those cases, but when you find them, like your case that you had
The
on
gold.
mass for people, it is absolute gold. Yeah. So thank you very much, Alan. In terms of business value consulting, if people would like to get hold of you, they can get you at this email address. I would like to thank you very, very much for taking the time.
Thank
And
you.
I
Thank
hope
you.
that people got a lot out of that conversation. And from us to you, ke ronga noa atu, which means onwards and upwards. And ka kite anō says goodbye.
Thanks, Kerry. Farewell.
Thanks. Cheers.